Polish tanks are moving. Russian radars are locked in. A line is being drawn on the map, but who will dare to cross it first? For months, quiet shadows danced on the border. Now, the silence is breaking. Behind every diplomatic handshake lies a fist ready to clench. Is Poland preparing for something bigger? Is Russia? What happens when two nations standing on centuries of history edge closer to the point of no return? Stay with us, the answers are deeper than headlines reveal. In the summer of 2025, Eastern Europe is once again on edge. But this time, the fault line is shifting. Not in Donbass. Not in Crimea. The tension is brewing along the border of Russia and Poland. Troops are being deployed. Surveillance drones scan the forests. And the air is filled with uncertainty. It's a complex puzzle, fueled by NATO expansion, Ukrainian escalation, and a battle of ideologies. But one question lingers louder than all others: is a direct confrontation between Russia and Poland truly on the horizon? The border between Russia, Kaliningrad, and Poland isn't just a geopolitical marker. It's a flashpoint. A place where decades of historical mistrust collide with the modern-day chessboard of global power. In recent weeks, Polish media reported the construction of new defensive fortifications. Anti-tank barriers, electronic jamming equipment, and forward troop deployments near Suwałki. From the Russian side, movements in Kaliningrad have intensified. Armored convoys move under nightfall. Iskander missile systems are being repositioned. And most telling of all, Russia's Baltic fleet has increased activity in waters dangerously close to NATO territories. But what's behind these movements? Some say it's just posturing, a mirror to NATO's own saber-rattling. Others believe it's preparation for more than just drills. The air is heavy. And the soil under the boots of both nations remembers the wars that once soaked it. Poland was once a frontline victim of war. Today, it is a frontline participant in NATO's eastern defense. In the past year, Warsaw has poured billions into military modernization. It has become the largest military spender in Europe per GDP. Leopard 2 tanks. F-35 fighters. American HIMARS. Turkish Bayraktar drones. All parked near Russia's western frontier. And the West is watching with pride. The US now has more troops in Poland than ever before, rotating battalions, missile defense systems, even nuclear-capable assets on standby. From Moscow's perspective, this is not defense, this is encirclement. What's more, Poland has taken an increasingly aggressive diplomatic tone. Polish politicians have openly spoken about pushing Russian influence out of Eastern Europe completely. Some even flirt with the idea of reclaiming historical territories or intervening directly in Ukrainian defense operations. This raises red flags not only in Moscow but across Belarus as well. The Suwałki Gap, a narrow stretch of land between Kaliningrad and Belarus, is often described as NATO's weakest link. But to Russia, it could become a corridor of response, should conflict ever ignite. Poland's boldness isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening with NATO's full backing. And that changes everything. Kaliningrad, a small Russian enclave surrounded by NATO, has always been a ticking clock. A fortress. A forward base. And in 2025, it's more fortified than ever before. New radar arrays scan the skies. The Baltic fleet, stationed in Kaliningrad's ports, is now armed with the Zircon hypersonic missiles. These can hit Warsaw in under 5 minutes. Inside the region, civilian infrastructure is also being reinforced. Bunkers. Fuel storage. Communications blackouts for military exercises. Some experts argue that Kaliningrad isn't just a shield, it's Russia's sword, pointed westward. The timing is no coincidence. With NATO moving missiles into Finland and air defense into Poland, Kaliningrad's role becomes central to any defensive, or offensive operation. If war were to begin, Kaliningrad would be among the first to launch and the first to be targeted. This isn't theory anymore. It's practical strategy. And both Poland and Russia know it. Beyond troops and tanks, a quieter war is already underway, the war of perception. Media outlets on both sides have begun preparing their populations. In Poland, news anchors warn of Russian aggression. In Russia, commentators speak of NATO's creeping advance. Cyber attacks have increased. Anonymous sources in Poland claim Russian-backed groups have disrupted military databases and civilian infrastructure. In return, pro-Russian media channels have faced mass blocking in Poland and the Baltics. This is information warfare, a softening of the field before the real fight begins. Each side accuses the other of escalation. Each side shows maps, videos, leaked documents. The audience? The world. But most importantly, their own people. Because before a bullet is fired, the mind must be conditioned to accept that war is the only answer. Now comes the central question: could a direct military confrontation between Russia and Poland actually happen? From a strategic standpoint, both sides have reasons to avoid it. A war between NATO and Russia could spiral far beyond Eastern Europe, possibly to nuclear dimensions. But history teaches us that wars often start not by grand design, but by miscalculation. Imagine this. A Polish jet flies too close to Kaliningrad. A Russian missile test gets misinterpreted by NATO radar. A cyber attack appears to come from Moscow, but was launched by a third party. In the fog of uncertainty, the first shot might come from fear, not aggression. Russia doesn't want war with NATO. Poland doesn't want destruction on its soil. But when both nations dig trenches and draw red lines, the ground between them becomes a trap. One wrong move. One overreaction. One moment of political pressure, and the dominoes fall. So, yes, it could happen. And that's why this moment matters more than ever. Despite the provocations, Russia's official stance has remained measured but firm. President Putin, in a recent press briefing, stated clearly Russia does not seek conflict. But we will not tolerate threats along our borders. The Ministry of Defense emphasized that troop movements near Kaliningrad are defensive. But actions speak louder. Satellite images show expanded runways, new deployments, and deepened cooperation with Belarusian forces. In many ways, Russia is playing a long game. Instead of jumping into confrontation, Moscow is applying pressure economically, diplomatically, and militarily to force the West into overextension. Meanwhile, Russia continues strengthening internal stability. Grain exports, energy corridors to Asia, and new defense alliances with non-Western nations ensure that Russia is not isolated even if conflict comes. This patience mixed with readiness is key. It doesn't mean weakness. It means strategy. The next few months will be critical. Joint NATO exercises are scheduled in Poland by late August. Russia is expected to respond with drills in Kaliningrad and Belarus. Intelligence officials warn that each movement will be closely watched, analyzed, and perhaps misread. But here's what we must understand. This isn't just about two countries. It's about a global order in transition. It's about who gets to set the rules and who refuses to be ruled. For Russia, Poland represents more than just a neighbor. It represents a front line of resistance against NATO expansionism. Against external control. Against historical erasure. And for Poland, Russia represents a centuries-old threat, one they believe must be countered with iron, not dialogue. But amid all this, the people, on both sides, pray for peace. No mother wants to send her son to the front. No father wants to hear sirens in the night. No child should have to ask what the sound of artillery means. So we end with this thought. The world watches. The border waits. And history holds its breath. Will reason prevail? Or will the fuse be lit if you believe in peace through strength and truth through awareness? Share this story. Because the more we understand, the more we can prevent what should never happen again.